The latest inflation numbers for the month of January have passed and been released by the ABS. Let's go live to Ed Boyd. Ed, what's the number saying?
And the numbers actually come in steady at 3.4%. The expectation from economists was inflation was actually going to increase in January to 3.6%, but instead it's actually come in below, lower than anticipated at 3.4%, which is what it was in December. So remember, inflation has been on a pretty strong downwards trajectory for the last year and a half since the Reserve Bank started lifting interest rates aggressively, and we're seeing the impact of that on our economy. Here's the figures. You can see December it was at 3.4. January it's remained stable at 3.4. If we go to the next page, we should see some categories that have gone up and down in price during the month. This is inflation tracking over time. You can see back in 2021, then the big skyrocket in 2022, where inflation peaked at a monthly rate of 8.4% in December 2022. And since then, it's really started to move down quickly. So there were some pretty big contributors to inflation during January. You can see food prices still increased by 4.4%. Rents remain stable, but they're still high, escalating at 7.4% on an annual rate. Electricity costs up slightly. Fuel up 3.1%, but it is going down because we know oil prices have fallen pretty significantly over the past 3 or 4 months. So those were the main categories here. And the numbers are a little bit of a surprise. Economists were expecting inflation to come in higher than expected. So I think this is good news for a lot of Australians out there who are struggling with the cost of living, because it's a sign prices are still slowly increasing across Australia, Kieran.
Ed, how do you see the Reserve Bank interpreting the numbers?
Look, the Reserve Bank, I think, is going to be pretty pleased to see these numbers. We were obviously expecting inflation to come in higher. It's come in steady at 3.4. That's good news for the RBA, because their mandate is to get inflation between 2% and 3%. And they've actually got to aim now for the middle of that band. So they really need inflation at 2.5%. And that's going to take them another year and a half, probably end of 2025 really is when we're going to see that. But RBA is going to be pleased with these numbers. We should be able to see a stock market reaction to these figures as well. And the market was down before the numbers came out. You can see not really much of a movement there. The ASX 200 is still down by about 0.1%. If we go to the next page, we should see the Aussie dollar as well. And it was down. It's now flat at 65 point. There you go. It's bouncing around a little bit. This is live currency trading, as you can see on the screen. So a bit of a muted reaction today, because I think everyone's been pricing in inflation to fall. We know it's falling. It's taking its time to fall, but it is coming down. And the RBA's obviously, their next board meeting is towards the end of March. Expect to see the cash rate on hold then, and probably on hold until September, Kieran.